Hello, my loves. So, today I am speaking to you from a new microphone that was generously gifted to me by a dear friend in order to hopefully help you all hear me better. So, my deep gratitude to Polly. Please leave a comment or give me a thumbs up and let me know if you can hear me okay before I begin. So, let's see if anyone can hear me. All right, well, I don't see any comments that people can't. So hopefully you guys can all hear me better because apparently I was very, very quiet, which everyone knows I clearly am not. So let us begin. Thank you for joining me, Cassandra McAllen, here at Free the Wisdom to Heal the Body for our next exploration about forgiveness. I must tell you that in preparation for this talk today, I decided that I needed more soul searching about my own areas of unforgiveness. And I spent over an hour in meditation this morning trying to see the cause of one particularly stubborn connection with someone that I just couldn't seem to release. And lest we think that I'm a monk, I do not meditate for over an hour generally. So this is quite a trial. However, I was really struggling with some old painful thoughts and memories that seemed to be refusing to leave my mind and body and energy system. You may ask, why is this so important? Well, why should we seek and even struggle to let go of old pain? Why not just stuff it down instead of releasing and hope that it removes itself by forgetting about it? Well, last week I shared with you my belief that unforgiveness contributes to illness. Like the allegory, holding on to resentments is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It is the way we think we can punish someone else for our pain. However, righteous or not, we are the only ones that suffer because of our refusal to release others from this incredibly valuable space in our minds. Esther Hicks says, forgiveness is us feeling good anyway, regardless of what someone else says or does. We can't make someone be different just so we can feel different. In other words, no one is here on this earth to be responsible for our emotions or our emotional symptoms. They're here for their own reasons. And the great news about that is also that we're not here for anyone else. We're here to discover the grandest and greatest version of ourselves. So, forgiveness is about us finding the way to let energy flow to us again so it's not blocked by these memories, resentments, and grudges. It's saying to ourselves, I am no longer going to use you and your actions as an excuse not to love me. The Mayo Clinic says that letting go of grudges and bitterness makes way for improved health and peace of mind. And in the words of Alexander Pope, to err is human, to forgive divine. It feels divine to stop holding on to resentments towards others and most especially towards ourselves. They act like weights that keep us from moving forward on our path. They slow down not only our mental and emotional progression in life, but also often prevent us from achieving our goals. And they do this by drawing our attention to the past. Spending time looking backwards is not time preparing and planning for where we want to go next. So why do we do it? Well, I believe that we ruminate on the past to remember our perceived failures or those of others, what we did or did not do, what we missed out on, or what we regret we did, and or how someone else harmed us in a way that seems unforgivable. I believe we hold on to unforgiveness because we believe it keeps us from being hurt again. For instance, if I was to mentally replay hurtful conversations that I had with a man who broke up with me, it is likely because I believe that in doing so, maybe I can somehow prevent anyone else from doing that to me again. Or if it was to happen, then maybe I could prevent myself from suffering again. Because when something happens to us that we don't appreciate or enjoy, our natural desire is to make sense of why it happened. And this is often because, whether we realize it or not, we're all affected by a societal conditioning called belief in a just world. Doesn't it sound lovely? Well, it is in essence the belief that bad things happen to bad people and good things happen to good people. But it's the reason behind victim blaming. It's the reason we need to find a reason why someone who has suffered in some way is culpable or deserving of that suffering. And this keeps us from truly looking at the chaotic, unexpected beauty of life. This keeps us from realizing that it really doesn't matter what we do. Sometimes bad people get rich and seemingly live a great life. And sometimes good people become ill and die. And this belief in a just world doesn't operate on the surface. Rather, it operates in our subconscious as we seek to find ways to keep ourselves and those we love safe. And as I spoke about last week, state versus trait, the stories we tell ourselves most likely make us the victim and the other person the villain. So if we combine these two unconsciously held belief systems, then we see that if something bad happens to us, it's either because we deserved it or because the other person or situation was a villain. Thus, we subconsciously believe that to forgive someone, well, it could feel like an acknowledgement of our own guilt and shame, as if we're somehow forced to accept that we must have deserved it. We were blind, foolish, allowed ourselves to be duped, mistreated, etc. And there again, we have a reason to hold on to our grudges, to prevent us from making the same mistakes again, to protect us. But it doesn't protect us. It just instead creates a lack of faith in us. Can you remember a time that it felt like you first decided that you were untrustworthy? I know I can, but it wasn't true. When it comes to the baggage that is made up of our own perceived failures, we must first realize that nothing we did or did not do was a mistake. And that's hard. But it was all part of our journey of life, our unique story that can only be written by us, our own letter, if you will, to God and the universe that we write every day through our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. A story that says this is who I am. And thus every act, both positive and negative, was necessary, essential, if you will, to get us to the place that we're today. Now, this doesn't mean that it was all enjoyable or pleasant, because it most certainly wasn't. And life rarely is all enjoyment. Rather, it is about learning and living and laughing and loving, and Creator knows I do love a good alliteration. Now, this doesn't mean that knowing what we do now, with hindsight being 2020, that we wouldn't want to do it differently if we could have. However, we must trust that we did the best we could at the time, given the situations we encountered and who we were. Now, how do I know this? Well, because we already done it. And if we were capable of doing something different, we would have done that. And we cannot successfully argue against the reality of the existence of our past actions. And nothing but shame is ever gained by saying, I should have, and feeling bad that we didn't. We need to stop expecting that the who we were yesterday should have been able to make the decisions and actions that we would today. It's unrealistic and it's unforgiving. And this path of holding ourselves forever and unremittingly at fault will only lead us to further distrust the decisions we make today. This leads us to find more reasons to blame ourselves and thus more reasons to be unforgiving, leaving us in pain, which of course is the opposite of where we want to get to and how we want to feel and how we want to heal. Now, it's understandable that we might wish that things were different today. And we have the ability as a conscious being to regret our decisions and to believe that if we would have chosen differently, well, then perhaps we'd be in a better, happier, more affluent, etc. place today. However, we must also consider that a different choice would likely have led us to a different outcome that would then require choices of its own, which could still have taken us down a path we could choose to regret, or we would end up as we are today. Thus, wishing and regretting for some perfect present day that we have no idea whether we would have been capable of achieving is a waste of precious time, thought, effort, and energy. It fills our body and our being with resentments towards an innocent us of the past who was doing all it could in life to create the building blocks of who we are today. And that shame, self-blame, and guilt quite literally weighs down our vibratory energy, which is the building blocks of the dis-ease of the body and mind. Remember the quote, "Show me a body that harbors disease, and I will show you a body with unforgiveness." If self-blame or resentment is an illness, forgiveness is its cure. Forgiveness of others and of self. I hope you appreciated this information today and that it helps you to free the wisdom to heal your body. If you did, if you would please click on the link for my YouTube channel that I've got pinned at the top of this page and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. As well as sharing with anyone you know who is seeking freedom from mental, emotional, and physical pain. You never know who might be helped until you offer. And this is why I am here, offering you all my 2 decades of study and practice to help people heal as I have. If you have any comments about today's topic, I would love whenever you watch this, if you would leave them below, and I will comment when I see them. And if you have specific personal questions or arguments or worries or frustrations, you can also schedule a free 30-minute Freedom from Pain session with me through the Calendly link that is pinned in that same post. So now I will see if there's any questions I can answer in the moment for you. And next week, I will be back on Monday at 5:30 and we'll be finishing the topic of forgiveness, and we'll be talking about another amazing topic, acceptance. So until then, take care of yourself for me. All right, let's see if I have any questions. Oh, time for replay. Yes, it is. Oh, much better. You can hear me much better. Yay! Good job, Polly. He's my favorite. Randall says better. Awesome. Delia, we are responsible for our own emotions. Brilliantly said. That is where our power lies. Not expecting that someone should change their behavior, but instead controlling our response. Randall said stuffing down and hoping to forget doesn't work. It doesn't, but boy, do we try. And you are right, Delia. You are a different person today than you were yesterday and than you were last year and 5 years before then. So how could you possibly expect that you should have, could have, or would have done something different than what you did? You can't. We all always do our best. We do. Nobody ever wakes up one day and goes, today I can be incredible, amazing, unstoppable. But no, I shan't. I shouldn't do none of these things. I will instead act of the lowest possible denominator of my mind and body. No one does that. We all do the best we can every day. And some days are better than others. Sometimes we feel better than others. But we always do our best. That was a beautiful quote. Thank you, Delia. Yay, Rita. I'm glad you get to see me. Oh, Susan, I'm glad you love it. Hannah, amazing as always. It makes me so happy to see your name there. Emily, do you think regrets are the same as unforgiveness of self or related? Yes. Yes, absolutely. They are completely interconnected, right? Because by regretting something, most often we regret those things that we believe we should have, could have, or would have changed. You know, we don't spend a lot of time regretting that it was rainy yesterday, but we could spend a lot of time regretting something that we said or did. So, well said. And hopefully we'll talk some more about that on Monday and maybe give even some more clarity. Randall, how are unforgiveness and remembering the lesson different? Oh, it's kind of tricksy, isn't it? So first you have to understand that to forgive someone is not to forget it, right? So I can forgive someone for an act that I perceived harmed me and still not forget that they committed that act. So I may decide that this is a person I don't want to talk to anymore. I don't want to deal with anymore. But I'm not holding on to the pain inside me and like that sore tooth in my mouth, keep thinking about it and touching it with my tongue to suffer again and again and again. So to forgive is not to forget. It is to learn and continue to become the person we want to be. And ultimately, our greatest goal is to be untouched and unharmed by the actions of anyone. Could you imagine the freedom you would have? That is the goal of enlightenment, right? To live our lives as authentically as we can and let others live theirs. Rita says, I like to wake up and say, shall we have some fun today? I love that quote. And as I've mentioned before, I wake up every day saying, things are always working out for me. And when it seems like they haven't, I remind myself that they always are. So clearly, I just can't see it in this moment. Beth, watching as the moon rises. You're so very welcome. Thank you for being here. Janice, very helpful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I hope this does help because certainly we now know that holding on to people and things and refusing to forgive only hurts us. and keeps us from healing. Hannah, can you acknowledge that what that person did to me was wrong, but forgive them instead? Or is that not possible? And should we say instead, that was a product of their own struggles? It's a really good point and an excellent question. So when we judge someone else's behavior as wrong, well, unfortunately, that's the first step to taking us to that place where we say they should have done something different. And again, no one is here for us. So we can't truly know that. We can't know what they should have done or said or been. All we can decide is how will we react or respond to it. So instead, should we say that was a product of their own struggles? Absolutely. Look at that person being that person. That's something I say to myself. And I laugh. Or I might say, I would not have expected that. Or, wow, that is surprising and unpleasant. But then I remember that that's their stuff. And I leave it with them. And I take myself away and remember that I too have stuff. And I too say and do things that are not the best sometimes. And that person is probably struggling in a way that I could never possibly know. So I forgive them in that moment. And I take that moment also to look at why it touched me where I was wounded. And you see the difference? I didn't say it wounded me. It touched me where I was wounded. And that often gives us a tremendous key to unlock the door to a space of suffering that again holds us back from that freedom. And that is another wonderful reason for self-discovery, meditation, and healing. Delia, why is it that we touch that cavity, the past regrets, over and over, even though it hurts? Yeah, because we are thinking, wrongly, but understandably, that if we relive this suffering over and over again, we'll prevent it from happening again. And it's not true. No, there are still things that are going to happen in our lives that are going to cause us pain. But remember, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Touch me where I was wounded. Yeah, it's a good reminder that people aren't walking around wounding you. They are touching you where you were wounded. And the ultimate goal is to heal all of those wounds. So there is nothing anyone could say or even do to you that you would see as anything more than a reflection of who they are and having truly nothing to do with who you are. You are welcome for that insight. And thank you all for joining me here today. I love you all so much. And I will see you on Monday. Bye.